How's everybody doing?
What do you think of police telling protesters coming into town this weekend for Rolling Thunder that they can't use their vehicles? Are you comfortable with that?
That's not what I was coming out to speak about. I understand that. This morning, I actually sent a letter off to the RCMP Commissioner Brenda Lucki asking her to reopen the investigation into the case of a potential fraud committed under the criminal code by Justin Trudeau. As we know, yesterday in question period, Prime Minister Trudeau admitted that he did not have authorization from the department head to take the luxurious vacation in the Bahamas that was offered as a gift. So this is beyond the finding of 4 counts of being guilty underneath the Code of Ethics and the Conflict of Interest Act, as described by the Ethics Commissioner. This is an issue of criminality under the Criminal Code and needs to be now reopened.
Why, though? Because police already looked at this?
So based upon the evidence presented yesterday by the Prime Minister himself, in his own admission, when you look at the decision tree in the documents that were obtained through access to information from the RCMP, that they considered whether or not there was a fraud committed. What was unknown is now known. And so they have new evidence and they need to reopen this investigation.
The document suggests there were a multitude of other factors as well, sir. Things around not being able to use the Ethics Commissioner's report as something that they could put forward in court, questions around parliamentary privilege, questions around being able to extract the same kind of evidence. So what degree of confidence?
So I believe that the Prime Minister now needs to cooperate, him and his office, in this investigation. There was no interview done by the RCMP with the Prime Minister, and so we do expect the Prime Minister to be open and honest. There is now a shadow of doubt surrounding his own honesty and integrity based upon his testimony in the House of Commons. And he never provided this evidence before, that he never had authorization, as described underneath federal legislation, to accept a gift, especially worth $215,000, from a registered lobbyist.
And he wasn't asked by the police about it either, right?
So the police never interviewed him. So that's why, based upon new evidence, this gives the grounds to reopen this case and actually get down into the details of what the Prime Minister knew, what he did with that information, why did he take this this trip and accept this luxurious vacation gift, and ultimately it comes back to the fact that the integrity of the Prime Minister, of his office, and of the RCMP are at stake here, and we have to restore confidence in public trust.
The RCMP also said charging a sitting Prime Minister would cause negative effects.
So then it comes down to, they did mention the issue of public interest, but we're also talking about the whole ordeal of whether or not the Prime Minister is above the law. He cannot act with impunity. He should actually be held to a higher standard, and that's why the RCMP have to reinvestigate, and that's why the Prime Minister should cooperate.
Well, we're talking about him not writing a letter to himself.
Right.
I mean, saying that out loud seems ridiculous.
But this is what the RCMP looked at, right? And that's and so the RCMP said there was ambiguity, and they didn't know whether or not he gave himself permission. He admitted yesterday that he did not give himself permission. So if you look at the decision tree matrix that the RCMP uses to determine whether or not a fraud was committed, it leads straight down to a potential fraud. And so they need to actually...
I didn't get to the substance of my question, which is that perhaps we should reform the rules of Parliament. Asking for criminal investigation to the sitting Prime Minister, as the RCMP said, could cause negative damage to the country as a whole. But changing the laws of Parliament so that there's actually some sort of oversight here for someone like you say, the Prime Minister needs to be held to account.
So
why are the Conservatives not asking for some additional oversight?
Well, first of all, let's get down to the bottom of what actually happened now. And there is the issue of a violation of the criminal code, and we need to actually look into that in greater detail. So that's what we're asking for right now, the Prime Minister to cooperate with the RCMP. As to changing existing laws, we already have underneath the Accountability Act, one of the things that we brought in place was the Public Prosecutor's Office, and that prosecution service will then take a look at what the RCMP actually find in their investigation, and they will be the appropriate authority to move forward if charges are laid. Anyway, thank you.